first home of humankind, a continent of death, pain, uneducated, unhappy, and hopeless people. However, there is a country in this continent where just hearing about life, there is enough to make your hair stand on end. A place many of you might have never heard of, South Sudan. A place you should not visit. Imagine a country where the average life expectancy is only 58 years, and people are lucky if they can eat one meal a day, let alone two. Yet, the world's tallest men live there. This country is South Sudan, where cattle are so valuable that some tribes practically live with their cows. They even go as far as to clean their bodies with cow urine when they wake up in the morning and sometimes drink it when they run out of water. Due to the acid in cow urine, the hair of a South Sudanese person often turns reddish. The people believe that cow urine cures skin diseases and frequently add it to their food whenever they get the chance. The geography has influenced the cattle so much that cow herds do not easily allow white-skinned people near their herds because they believe the cattle are frightened by them. So far, what you've heard might have shocked you, made you squint your eyes, and furrow your brows. However, what seems unimaginable to us is just a part of everyday life for them. And I have much more to tell you that will send chills down your spine. South Sudan declared its independence from Sudan in 2011 after a civil war, making it a very young country with a population of 15 million. Its official slogan is justice, liberty, and prosperity, but none of these exist here. Although the country looks small on the map, it actually covers an area of 644,000 square kilometers, nearly as large as Turkey. While the official language is English, the second language is Juba Arabic, and several tribal languages are also officially recognized. Before diving into the unique lifestyle of the country, you should know one thing. Like many African countries, Christianity is fundamental here. About 60% of the population is Christian, 33% follow animist and local beliefs, and 6% are Muslim. The story dates back to very old times. Until the 1800s, the country was under Ottoman rule, but towards the end of the 1800s, it was invaded by the British and French who came to Africa. After the British defeated the forces of Sudanese leader Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi, who proclaimed himself the awaited Mahdi, they fully established control and permanently spread Christianity. Only a few local tribes managed to preserve their beliefs due to geographical conditions. Since South Sudan declared its independence in 2011, Salva Kiir Mayardit has held the presidency. A skilled soldier, ruthless and tough, he was the final commander in the civil wars that claimed over 3 million lives and succeeded in separating South Sudan from Sudan. Opposing him is virtually synonymous with courting death. A few years ago, it was revealed that he had urinated on himself in public due to a urinary tract infection. The journalist who published these images has not been heard from since. Due to his 20-year experience of waging war while hiding in the African bush, nothing is known about his personal life. His family is believed to live in a hidden house in Kenya, but no other details are available. He remains a mysterious and war-hardened figure. South Sudan is considered one of the poorest countries in the world, with an annual income of just $3.2 billion and a per capita income of $230 per year, which means most people earn less than $1 a day. In fact, daily sustenance is a luxury for many South Sudanese. When food is available, a family of 10 will gather around a single dish, eating just one meal a day. If they are very lucky, they might have a second meal. Therefore, if you see an overweight person in South Sudan, they are likely either ill or a politician. Cattle herding is one of the main livelihoods, but those without the means to buy cattle try to survive by any means available. For example, they catch fish and sell them. The level of poverty is so extreme that some people have to fish with their bare hands. Others burn tires in mountainous areas to heat and break apart rocks, selling the fragments to builders. On the streets, an addictive substance known as gum is sold, believed to enhance productivity by suppressing hunger and problems, thus motivating people to work. In a country where hunger affects 80% of the population, it is difficult to criticize such measures, but the situation is even worse. The governing power in South Sudan is held by the Dinka tribe, which makes up 36% of the population and boasts the tallest men in the world with an average height of 1.78 meters. It is hard to fathom how they maintain such height despite their harsh living conditions. Additionally, the country's president, Salva Kiir Mayardit, and most government officials belong to the Dinka tribe. They are in constant conflict with other tribes, particularly the Nuer, the second largest tribe making up 16% of the population. In total, there are over 200 local tribes. Many tribes live in UN camps surrounded by barbed wire to protect themselves from Dinka or Nuer attacks. These camps, like the people's homes, lack proper sanitation, and waste flows openly in the absence of proper sewage systems. Leaving these camps can be deadly if it is discovered that you belong to a different tribe. By 5 p.m., everyone packs up and heads home because nightfall brings chaos, often leading to theft at the very least, assuming survival. As mentioned, some people don't even have plastic slippers. During certain times of the year, homes are abandoned due to floods. These homes are often makeshift shelters made of tin or plastic, lacking furniture, electricity, or any infrastructure, with most of the population using collected junk. 80% of the population lives in such conditions, sharing one room for all household activities. Despite these hardships, families have many children, making South Sudan one of the youngest nations in terms of population. 50% of the population is under 18. They fear losing children to hunger, violence, or disease and have no retirement system, so they rely on having children to care for them in old age. In South Sudan, it's common to see people using drugs openly, dead bodies, or heavily armed individuals on the streets. Poverty and hunger drive people to these extremes, and there is no one to prevent or combat these issues. Law and order are both corrupt and underdeveloped, forcing everyone to fend for themselves and take justice into their own hands. From cattle herders to the smallest shopkeepers, people in South Sudan walk around with AK-47s, and this is a fact. Security is so poor that they can't tolerate even their own people, let alone foreigners. Therefore, tourists visiting South Sudan hire security from whichever tribe controls the area, or are provided with police escorts by the state. Without such measures, the locals, who aren't very tolerant of outsiders and see tourists as a source of money, could harm them. Additionally, child abduction is a significant problem in the country. Kidnapped children are often forced into becoming soldiers for ongoing intertribal wars, or are killed if they belong to rival tribes. The level of brutality is unimaginable, with attackers, often under the influence of drugs, not hesitating to shoot or burn their captives alive. Let's delve deeper into this issue. The ongoing civil war in South Sudan occasionally flares up. As mentioned, the president of the country is Salva Kiir Mayardit. The first vice president is Riek Machar. Born in 1952 as one of 27 sons, Riek Machar is a successful mechanical engineer with a bachelor's degree from Sudan and a doctorate from the UK. He is also a skilled soldier and a former commander of the Sudan People's Liberation Army. The rivalry and ideological differences between these two leaders have led to fierce and brutal conflicts between militias loyal to the Dinka tribe, led by President Salva Kiir, and forces loyal to the Nuer tribe, led by Riek Machar. These conflicts have resulted in thousands of children being abducted and either forced into soldiering or killed. Large towns have been wiped off the map due to raids on rival territories. Both sides use child soldiers and exhibit extreme violence, as regularly reported by the United Nations with concrete figures. Currently, tensions have somewhat eased, and government ministries are shared between the two factions. However, new blood can be shed at any moment. The killings and child abductions aren't just perpetrated by rival groups. Gangs also abduct children to sell them for labor in mines in other African countries. In short, the extreme poverty in the country has eroded any sense of compassion and humanity. Cattle, considered the most valuable asset, are another reason for the massacres. Gangs sometimes kill 50 or even 100 villagers to steal cattle herds. Recently, in Jonglei State, armed cattle rustlers attacked a nomadic herding tribe, resulting in 40 deaths and 19 injuries, with many women and children abducted. Despite all this, here's a surprising fact. The country is actually rich in oil and other natural resources. However, despite this oil wealth, the benefits are not equally shared, and the oil trade is controlled by foreigners rather than South Sudanese. Corrupt politicians looking out for their own interests and the classic hand of Western imperialism exploit these resources, leaving the local population impoverished. The sale of the country's institutions and firms to foreigners indicates that the people of South Sudan will have to live under these harsh conditions for many more years. Friends, some people are born unlucky, and some create their own luck. But for the people of South Sudan, one of the world's poorest countries, even creating their own luck is impossible. There are hardly any jobs for adults or proper schools for children. Life is not easy, and for some, it is never easy. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.